What is up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going over the patch 7.2.5 Arms Warrior changes and what you can expect to see when 7.2.5 goes live. So, during the patch 7.2.5 PTR, Arms has received a ton of different changes, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand the differences between live and what will happen in 7.2.5, and somewhat of a rotation as to how we can pick up the differences. Is this going to be a buff? Is it going to be a nerf? How far are we into the game? So, just to put a perspective on how long people are looking at, if we type /calendar in game, if I can spell today, there we go. Patch 7.2.5 is going to hopefully come around the same time that Legion Season 3 ends, which is the 13th of June. So look for that coming soon. Tomb of Sargeras has already been released as of the 20th, so as we'll see here, within June 20th, Tomb of Sargeras begins. So that's cool that they put that on the calendar. But without further ado, what we're going to be looking at for arms so far is the first thing we're looking at here, if you'll look just to the left of me, is spec specific Whirlwind gets buffed or similarly buffed in damage, nerfed in rage spent. But you're looking at a 5 rage nerf, so 25 to 30 rage. And then we're looking at a 25% buff in the damage itself to Whirlwind. So that's awesome to note. The talents are being switched around like crazy, and I'm going to show a picture of it right here. The talents are switched around. This is a talent build that I'm looking at using going into the PTR, so if you want to really switch out some of this build, we're going to be looking at Rend and Trauma later in the video, but that is a cookie cutter build that I have found to work out really well right now. Deadly Calm, so level 90, row 1. Deadly Calm is being nerfed from 100% rage reduced to 75, so now abilities are going to cost a little bit, but they're not going to be free, which is why we're taking In for the Kill. Fervor of Battle has been replaced by In for the Kill in the 75 row. That's all it changed. Or sorry, it has been changed from 45 row to 75 row, where Trauma was. Fervor of Battle went. The Focused Rage has changed from row 75 middle or left on Titanic Might to row 90 all the way on the right. Basically making Focused Rage completely obsolete now. The Focused Rage spec is gone, and while a lot of people are going to be really happy about this, a lot of people are semi-saddened. I'm sort of in the middle. I love both playstyles, but wish they would have kept it in a way. So if you guys didn't know, Focused Rage basically buffed your next Mortal Strike to do a ton of damage. And while the damage number could be consistent, you had these slow, choppy Mortal Strikes that would crit for a ton, and your damage would just sit there and do this. So now we're going to be looking at a little bit of a burst, and then it's not going to roller coaster so crazily. It's going to sit here and do this, and then you're going to get a little bit of a burst and drop back down. It's not going to be your crazy numbers like you're looking at now. Our In for the Kill, which has been moved in place of Trauma, grants Colossus Smash. This says 15%, which is wrong. It is actually 10%. 15% was way overpowered. Basically, use Colossus Smash and you get an extra 15% haste. That's all it is. So the amount of times you can Colossus Smash with this build is crazy. So you're basically having a plus 15% haste the entire time, and it went to from 15% for 8 seconds to 10% for 6 seconds. So I'm happy they nerfed that because it was overpowered. In for the Kill within the other one, So I think that one, yeah, that's removed. So your normal in for the kill, where Mortal Strike refunds 40 rage, has been removed. Opportunity Strikes within your next talent with the level 100 row has all they've done with it is generate 5 rage. So that's really nice to see. Now we're looking at maybe switching between anger management and opportunity strikes. Ravager, I wish, you know, maybe with the Tomb of Sargeras 2 and 4 piece we'll see a little bit of Ravager, but the one downside to using Ravager is you have to place it, and if mobs move away from this Ravager, you're doing no damage with it. With Bladestorm, so Ravager basically replaces Bladestorm, but with Bladestorm you can move your character around and you can decide what mob you want to hit with it. Now, Ravager generates 7 rage. That's all they're doing to it. Rend. So we'll notice in the talent cutter build that I have, Rend is a little nuts. And they nerfed the damage of it up front, but the after effects have been buffed, which have been pretty crazy, and the bleed has gone from a 15-second to an 8-second. So less amount of time, ton of damage. The time or the rage cost has been from 20 to 30 rage. So that's pretty nice. Titanic Might on your level 75 row has not changed at all. They just moved where it was. And it increases the duration of Colossus Smash by 8 seconds and reduces it by 8 seconds. So now you're getting a 12-second Colossus Smash, because they also nerfed or buffed, if you look at it, Colossus Smash time down from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. So with that, you can technically have 100% uptime on Colossus Smash, but with the amount you're going to be hitting, Fervor of Battle is so much better. And last but not least, we're looking at Trauma. So Slam, Whirlwind, and Execute now cause the target to bleed for the same amount it did on live. And it moved to Talent 3 in replace of Fervor. So that's really nice to locate and does a ton of damage when you're looking at it. Now we're going to be looking at a little more into arms. If we come over here and click off you. Now, for artifact traits, you are looking at Exploit the Weakness. Has not really moved at all. They just changed the name of it a little bit. Precise Strikes has been removed, but also given a different way to use. So what Precise Strikes used to do, Colossus Smash reduced the rage cost of Mortal Strike or Execute by the talented amount. Now, if we look at what Precise Strikes does, Precise Strikes on live over here, or on PTR over here, Colossus Smash increases the crit strike every 10% based on your rank, starting at 20%. Increases the crit strike of Mortal Strike or Execute. So this is currently a 60% for me. So I have a 60% chance that Mortal Strike or Execute is going to be a crit, which does a ton of damage. Next thing on our list here is Shattered Defenses. After using Colossus Smash, your next Mortal Strike or Execute deals an additional 60 damage, or 60% damage. And the one that was before that has been removed. So back over onto the weapon again. That's right here. The golden trait has been changed around. And for that talent build that we saw here a second ago, this is a crazy build. And while the actions per minute is way less, thanks to not using Focus Rage anymore, the amount of damage you do is slow. It's fast and it's slow, but it's like, it's a consistent damage, but it's lowered because they reduced your mastery by 20%, but they buffed places elsewhere. And it also, if you have a draft of souls, that has been nerfed by 40% trinket-wise. So start looking for another trinket there. If you're looking for legendaries to use in this upcoming patch, my recommendation would be the helm that we get in 725 and Aya's ring. So to show what those two do, the helm, blade storm increase the movement speed and your damage, and a Ravager, so that's 6%, Ravager is 4%, so you're looking at a 36% increase with blade storm and a 24% increase with Ravager. The ring is just your execute ring. Your auto attacks have a chance, or all attacks rather, have a chance to grant execute, cost no rage, regardless of your health of the target that you hit. So that's interesting to see. Right now I'm testing out the gloves and Killjaden's trinket. The only legendary I have for arms on live is the legs, unfortunately, but hopefully that'll change before 725 goes live. But anyway, back to the talents. So Dauntless has been nerfed from 20% to 10% less rage, which is why the gloves are going to be a good option. Mortal Strike reduces your rage, or reduces the rage of Mortal Strike by 8 rage. So it's usually 20 rage, but with Dauntless and the gloves, it's now 10 rage. Pretty neat. Double time. So you get an extra charge of charge, and it's reduced by 3 seconds, allowing you to heroic leap out and charge back in for even more rage. If you're going to run a Mythic Plus, my recommendation would be Shockwave, however, because in Mythic Pluses you're looking to stun things, and you're not looking to do a ton. Well, you are looking to do a ton of damage, but stunning is more important. Now, the Rend, Trauma, and Avatar row. While this is personal preference, Rend right now is doing about 20% of my damage, and it's looking that way for a lot of people. And Rend's just a crazy dot. Now, I know a lot of you don't like using Rend because you have to manually mouse over each target and click on it and then click Rend. I will be putting a mouse over Rend macro in the description for people who want to use Rend in 725. With Trauma, however, Trauma gets really useful come execute phase, because if, let's say you're using sweeping strikes and Trauma, every execute that you do is going to be bleeding all the other targets. So if you execute 3 targets because of sweeping strikes, all 3 of those targets are now have execute, and they have that bleed damage, which can stack a crazy amount. Level 60, you're going to be running Bounding Stride. It's the same reason it was on live, hasn't changed at all. Level 75, Fervor of Battle. Your Colossus Smashes aren't really as dependent in 725, but they're still useful. Titanic Might makes Colossus Smash 100% uptime, even without fail, because you now have, if we click on Titanic Might here, Colossus Smash is now a 12-second cooldown, and the duration of Colossus Smash is 16 seconds. So you now fully have 100% uptime, and you can use it to cleave targets with Colossus Smash. But Fervor of Battle increases whirlwind damage by 80% on your primary target, which is pretty nice. Now, level 90, we're going to be running In for the Kill, as I stated a little bit ago, just because Colossus Smash increases your haste by 10%. So, your haste breakpoint is probably going to be a little higher in 725. I haven't tested that out yet, but I'm looking to. But as of right now, take this, and your rotation smooths out even further. Level 100, we're going to be running either Anger Management or Opportunity Strikes. And the reason I say Opportunity Strikes is now, the lower the health of your target gets, you can now generate more rage off of this, because they added 5 rage to it. Anger Management, however, reduces Blade Storm and Battle Cry by 1 second for every 20 rage you spend. So, That's pretty nice. And if we look at the Tomb of Sargeras 2 in 4-piece, anger management kind of fits into play with this. Colossus Smash reduces the cooldown of Blade Storm by 3 seconds. So every Colossus Smash you do is 3 seconds off of Blade Storm. The 4 set, Blade Storm is active, you automatically cast a total of 6 Mortal Strikes at random nearby targets. But that random nearby targets can only occur on mobs you have in combat with. So this is really useful on single and AoE. And if we swap to Ravager, which I'm pretty sure may not happen, but Ravager generates 7 rage now. But if we swap to Ravager, your 2 and 4 set changes to Ravager, and the Colossus Smash reduces Ravager by 2 seconds, and Ravager casts 4. So that's pretty interesting to note. On to a rotation. So with 7.25, the rotation is going to look a little weird, and it's going to be a little, it just takes some time to get used to, so to speak. But anyway, this is how I'm looking at a rotation come 7.25. If you have a ton of targets, we're looking at charging in, hitting Battle Cry, hitting Blade Storm. If they're up for more than 6 seconds, you're going to be running, charging in, Warbreaker, Battlecry, Warbreaker, Blade Storm. Battlecry is going to enhance Warbreaker's damage, which is also going to make Blade Storm do a ton more damage. Now, if we're looking at single target, you can use that on a single target. So to show what this looks like, you're going to charge in, Battlecry, that, and then Blade Storm. You're looking at a ton of damage. After the Blade Storm ends, it's still the good old spam slam and hit Mortal Strike on cooldown. Keeping Mortal Strike on cooldown is your top priority. So right there you'll notice we hit a Colossus Smash and then a Mortal Strike again. So sometimes it can sit here and do this, where you're just going to go back and forth. And you'll notice I have a ton of rage here. When we get rid of rage in 7.25, you're going to be using Whirlwind now. Whirlwind will make Battlecry come up a lot faster, and it also has a chance to reduce your Tactician procs to make them increase. So that's pretty much everything that's changed so far in patch 7.25. Look further, as I'm going to be releasing a 7.25 Arms Warrior guide when 7.25 releases. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any further comments or questions, let me know in the comment section below, and have fun playing your Arms Warrior in 7.25.